freshman impact. We want to take a look. Each of us will pick 3 guys here, and I'm going to let you start. And let's start with a guy that made an impact, the number 1 receiver in the class of 2022 last year. That was Evan Stewart. Didn't even play his senior year of high school as he opted out. But, man, was he all over the place in Tuscaloosa on Saturday.
He was the spark plug for the Aggies on offense. I remember I got up to go to the fridge in the middle of the game, come back right before half, and Texas A&M had advanced the ball, and Stewart was the reason. And if you know anything about Evan Stewart, on my initial freaks list for the class of 2022, he was number 3. This is a guy that could have potentially played in a World Cup. He was part of the U.S. men's national team youth pool of players before he decided to focus strictly on the sport of football. He also did track and field, 24, I think 5'9" in the long jump to win a state title. You're seeing that explosive traits right there. So when me and Cooper throw all these track numbers on you and you want to see it translate to the game, this catch right now on your screen, the other catch before that, that's what we're talking about. I thought Evan Stewart was awesome. I hope he keeps it going. I don't know about that play call going to him there late with, less than a few seconds left. I didn't agree with that. I think for a guy that's playing above everyone else's shoulder pads, have him run an option route and go up and get it. But no, Evan Stewart was awesome. He's rounding into form, and I expect big things for him over the next few years because with the talent's there. I always go back to Florida's Friday Night Lights camp 2 summers ago. I think Evan ran 4 routes and scored touchdowns on 4 of them, and those all came against defensive backs that are now playing Power 5 football. So special kid, special talent. Hope we keep seeing more of it.
Says a lot that he didn't play his senior season, was able to hold on to that number 1 ranked receiver ranking in the 2022 cycle. So Evan Stewart, I think if you're an Aggies fan, you want to take something positive away from that. A lot of freshmen playing. Drew's going to talk about that in the 2-minute drill, but Aggies certainly talented all over the field. Chris Marshall making a lot of plays opposite of him as well. Drew, I'm going to go with A.J. Swann, the new signal caller in Nashville, with our good friend Barton Simmons and company over there. Played well against Ole Miss this weekend on Saturday. You look at that stat line, 27 of 38, 281 yards out of the state of Georgia, a guy that we had as a 3-star, Drew, a guy as you had as an 89, and you kind of go back and you look at him a little bit in his high school career, 22 touchdowns, 7 INTs as a senior at Cherokee High School in Georgia so far this year, 8 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He's taking care of the football. And you start to look at Vanderbilt football, if you're Clark Lee, the improvement that we've seen from year 1 to year 2, I think this team's starting to get a little bit more competitive in the SEC. You also, the playmaker, Jade McGowan on the outside, the freshman receivers went over 100 yards in this game. So I think if you're Clark Lee, it's incremental, but this is the type of improvement, Drew, you want to see.
A.J. Swann, he was one that we kind of fought back and forth about being a 4th star or not. I remember seeing him play a ton of 7-on-7. I saw him all week at the Under Armour All-America practices. And I'll be honest, he's just a guy that threw a lot of picks, right? So that's why I think we kind of hesitated on going from the 89 to 90. And just so people are familiar, anyone that we rank as an 89 in my eyes, that should be someone where there's a debate back and forth, and we'll see what happens with A.J. Swann. Does he make a training camp one day? I don't know. But I think if you're a Vanderbilt fan or you are a fan of someone in the SEC, you got to be like, dang, now we got to play this kid, and we know he can throw it around. He's going to take some shots. I think it's encouraging, and I think he's going to be an interesting case study for us. And don't forget, Vandy flipped him from Mike Loxley in Maryland. So that was a big recruiting win for them. But no, Coop, that's a great one. I'm going to go in the next direction. Kelvin Banks, the 24/7 Sports Freshman of the Week. That was named by Chris Hummer. I mean, this is a guy that's starting up front. Again, go back to that Under Armour All-America game, and I'm going to keep doing that, Cooper. But you talked about it a few weeks ago on the show. Those in-person evaluations are so important. And Banks, when you see him on film, you knew he was a big guy that could move people out of the way. But when we saw him do one-on-ones in Orlando, he was just a different player than some of the other guys in his group. I mean, he was excellent against Oklahoma. He held his own against Alabama earlier on. I think if you're Cedric Baxter, if you're Quinn Ewers, if you're Arch Manning, you got this guy for probably 2 more years. So no, he was awesome and someone that we had very high in the rankings.
Yeah, we had him in the top 32. We finished at number 30. I believe we had him as a number 3 offensive tackle. I'm kind of kicking myself right now that I didn't fight harder for him. I thought he was the best tackle in the country. Always, and I thought that he was the most day one ready as well. We're seeing that right now in Austin as that young offensive line getting a lot of valuable experience. But Drew, I'm going to go offensive side of the ball. I'm going to go to the running back, and I'm going to go all the way up to Boise State in the Mountain West Conference. And I got to get a lot of credit to my man, Gabe Brooks, right here as he fought for this one. This is running back Ashton Jeanty out of Lone Star High School in Frisco, Texas. And the guy that just went for 100 yards in the first time in his career this past weekend is Boise State beat a battered Fresno State team 40-20, and they needed that one. But Ashton Jeanty this Saturday, 19 carries, 109 yards, 2 touchdowns. And you know what? You look back, and Drew, we kind of say, all right, what are the redeeming qualities? What are the traits? What was the thing that put us over the top here? 11-1-3 in the 100-meter. This is a 3-sport athlete, a very accomplished basketball player as well. Averaged over 8 points on the hardwood. So that's a guy, when you start to look at the traits, check box, check box, check box, and a guy that plays big. Keith Bonafide, running back coach up there in Boise State, doing a really good job. Has a track record going down in the state of Texas, being able to find some guys, Doug Martin being one of those guys as well, that have been a little bit overlooked in the past. So Boise State looks like they got a good one. Ashton Jeanty looks like he's going to be the guy of their future. But Drew, I know you kind of want to go running back SEC here, and a guy that we really like coming out of the state of Mississippi.
Branson Robinson, SEC Freshman of the Week. I think he was at 98 yards. We saw him in there against Auburn. And man, you said Boise finds him. Georgia just finds these running backs. This is a guy, for me, number 5 on my freaks list for that class of 2022. And when he signed with Georgia, or when he was going to sign with Georgia, kind of the rumblings coming out of Athens, but hey, he's another Nick Chubb. And why was he another Nick Chubb? This is a guy that has a Mississippi State record, 720-pound deadlift on record. He's got a 630-pound back squat, 370-pound bench. I'm assuming now that he is at UGA, those numbers are only going up. But man, Georgia, they find him. They want to ground and pound in a pro-style attack. Branson Robinson, I think this was his introduction party. We're going to be hearing this name a lot over the next 3 years, especially if you watch the Mothership SEC on CBS every Saturday. Branson Robinson, remember that name.
I don't know if I saw a more physically imposing skill position player or mid-skill position player last year than Branson Robinson. He looked day one ready in the SEC. We don't say that a lot. He made his coming out party this past weekend. But Drew, I'm going to end with Jahlil Florence, a top 247 standout and a cornerback from that same school of Roderick Robinson in Lincoln High School in San Diego. Big weekend for him as the Ducks, Oregon Ducks, beat Arizona this weekend convincingly. 4 tackles, 1 interception for Jahlil Florence. Great size coming out of San Diego, 6'1.5", 180 pounds, 10.77 in the 100-meter. It makes you feel better about these guys. We continue to say that. But Oregon, what they're doing in the secondary, you really like. Jahlil Tucker, another guy. Christian Gonzalez coming over from Colorado and playing opposite and being one of their more refined standout players with a lot of NFL upside there. So Oregon getting it done in the secondary. Defensive coordinator Tosh Lupoy's got to be happy with that new development as well. Those guys are really hard to find. So big one. Jahlil Florence looks like he's coming along for the Ducks.